Wonderful. We're starting to see a lot of people participate. Thank you all for joining us. Again, my name is Odessa Phillip. I am the outreach manager for the Modified Consent Decree Program as part of the project management team. I'm so happy to be joined this evening by the director, Jason Mitchell of Baltimore City Department of Public Works, as well as Yosef Kebede, who's going to be doing a lot of the presentation this evening. We're going to have a few housekeeping items. One, please ensure that you have your camera and your microphone muted, your camera off and your microphone muted. We want to preserve bandwidth to the fullest extent possible, and we will continue to share information. I am going to get started on the presentation, but I am going to welcome Director Mitchell to come off mute and give us a few welcoming words this evening. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Odessa. And as mentioned, I'm Jason Mitchell, the director of the Baltimore City Department of Public Works, and I'm excited to welcome everyone to the Baltimore City DPW Modified Consent Decree Public Information Session. We are grateful you can join us this evening. Baltimore City DPW is committed to protecting our environment and the health and validity of our waterways that serve our communities. And we have remained committed to that mission throughout this pandemic and all the challenges it has presented the department. Water and wastewater are 24/7, 365 days a year jobs. And I'm sure everyone can imagine the havoc a highly contagious virus can wreak on that type of operation. But I'm happy to inform you, we have not only preserved through the pandemic, we have also progressed. All right, this is my first annual Modified Consent Decree. I'm just joining DPW about 7 months ago. Beginning on day one of my tenure as director, it was a top priority for me in this department to ensure that DPW continues to meet and exceed all aspects of the consent decree was a key component. Tonight, you are going to hear more about the Modified Consent Decree, commonly referred to as MCD. So if you hear MCD, remember Modified Consent Decree, and why is in that Modified Consent Decree and why it's so important to Baltimore City and all its residents. You will find out about our Modified Consent Decree Phase 1 projects and a host of proactive measures in place to prevent and address sewer backups. You will learn about our collection system, our preventative maintenance program, and compliance. You will hear about our new Headworks facility at the Back River Treatment Plant. And you will even learn about the work with small business to ensure they are well prepared to do business here in the city of Baltimore. At DPW, we strive for equity in all we do, and the Modified Consent Decree is no different. We will continue to apply a lens of equity to all the work we do. DPW even developed an equity tool that facilitates the prioritization of our capital projects, with a focus on implementing projects in low and underrepresented neighborhoods. We are extremely proud and excited to share the wealth of information with you today. So without further ado, I want to announce the Department of Public Works Bureau Head for Water and Wastewater, Mr. Yosef Kebede, who will provide a thorough MCD program overview. I want to thank you and have an excellent evening.
Thank you, Director Mitchell, for the opening remarks. Good evening, everybody. My name is Yosef Kebede. I am the Bureau Head for the Bureau of Water and Wastewater under the Department of Public Works. I want to thank everybody that took the time to come out this evening or be online this evening to hear about the MCD. We hope and expect that this will be a useful, productive use of your time, and look forward to engaging with you throughout this evening as well as forward. So to start off, the purpose of this meeting is, of course, to inform the public about the progress of the MCD program, answer any questions you may have, as well as solicit feedback and provide some feedback. And then, as we'll have in the breakout sessions, to connect you with the various subject matter experts and public servants that work on this MCD. As way of context, consent decree is a legal instrument or court order that resolves a dispute between parties and facilitates for something to be done. And in the case of Baltimore City, that something was the rehabilitation of our sanitary sewer collection system so that we could mitigate the sanitary sewer overflows, or SSOs, that were prevalent. So the original consent decree was signed in September of 2002. The United States Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Justice, as well as the Maryland Department of Environment entered in that agreement with the city of Baltimore. And as from that point on, the city engaged in a very robust program to assess the condition of our collection system, to develop projects to rehabilitate the collection system, and continued on for approximately a decade, with the original deadline being 2016. As we were approaching that 2016 deadline, it became apparent that we may not be able to accomplish everything within the consent decree by that timeframe. Due to a host of factors. The most prominent would be the discovery of a hydraulic restriction at our Back River wastewater treatment plant. As you can see from this image, that blue watermark represents that treatment plant. That hydraulic restriction created a 10-mile long backwater effect into the city that contributed significantly to SSOs. And so from that point on, the city engaged in a series of negotiations with the regulators to arrive at an extension of the deadline. And if you go to the next slide, what that led to was the modification of this original consent decree. So in 2017, it was finally inked, and we entered into a modified consent decree that had a feature of an adaptive management approach, essentially meaning one phase to be completed by the 1st of January, 2021, a period of evaluation and assessment about the efficacy of the projects that were conducted in that phase, and then a second phase that would complete at the end of 2030. Now, at this stage, we are mostly complete with phase one. There are a few projects that we'll talk about in a few minutes that are still in process. There are various extenuating circumstances as to why these projects are still ongoing, but I do want to point out that one of the factors is that the city proactively looked at scope of work that was originally slated for phase two and elected to bring some of that scope into phase one. To do it earlier and save time and money. So as we did that, it added a little bit to the timeline for our phase one execution. The project team for the MCD, as you can see here, are within the Department of Public Works, an array of very impressive subject matter experts and public servants throughout all these offices and divisions, along with our program management team, AECOM. The consent decree, the MCD, has 84 paragraphs, but for the purposes of this presentation, we will focus on several key paragraphs, and those are listed here. And as we go forward, we will provide updates on what we have done within those paragraphs over the past 12 months. So the very first paragraph to tackle is paragraph number 8, which is focused on SSO structures. SSO structures were features of the sanitary sewer collection system that were included When back in the day, when Baltimore was growing and modernizing and developing, essentially they act as fail-safes or pressure relief valves that allow the discharge of untreated sewage into waterways in the event that a particular pipe was over capacity to prevent backups further upstream. It may have been fine back then, obviously created issues in modern day, and we have implemented paragraph 8 to eliminate these structures. Since the beginning of 2002, 62 were identified, 60 were eliminated. 2 are key, and they will pop up at different points of this presentation. They are identified numerically, number 67 and number 72. 2 of these original structures still remain, and they will be eliminated once we execute a project to clean out accumulated debris and sediment in one of our major interceptors. All in all, we have 11 SSO structures that are still being monitored and will be eliminated soon. So over the past 12 months, you can see here the various activities and accomplishments, but again, to focus on those 2, number 67 and number 72, they are, along with 152 and 154, critical major SSO structures that will be eliminated. The Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant, the Headworks project that we'll talk about shortly, was one of the precursors, and the other precursor, of course, will be the cleaning up of all the sediment within that main interceptor. Paragraph 9 is the essentially all the design and construction projects over the past 12 months. 4 of our construction projects have reached their milestones, and that includes the Headworks project. Again, we'll talk about that shortly. 5 consent decree projects remain in construction phase. And again, we are looking at some phase 2 projects and already starting the planning, strategizing, and implementation of some design for these projects. So as of today, 35 altogether construction projects have been completed within the MCD. The types of projects that we implement include cured in place pipe or CIPP, which is essentially a trenchless approach to rehabilitating pipes. It minimizes the disruption because we do not have to excavate. So many of our projects are CIPP projects. We also have pipe point repairs where we do have to excavate. Short sections of pipe are taken out and replaced. Rehabilitations of manholes, as well as the rehabilitation or replacement of sanitary house connections that lead from the main to the house. The Back River Headworks project is a project on its own, again, very unique, largest project the city has ever executed, $430 million. As you can see, various new infrastructure at the Back River wastewater treatment plant. Another part of paragraph 9 is related to the various regulatory studies and deliverables. I mentioned the assessment phase between phase 1 and phase 2 that we are calling the post-construction flow monitoring period. We have developed and implemented that PCFM. We have, to facilitate the PCFM, we have deployed 110 flow meters throughout the sanitary sewer system to give us data on the flow underground, and to also recalibrate the hydraulic model. This image you see is an excerpt from one of our quarterly reports that we submit. Every quarter, we submit and provide an update on the progress and the status of the consent decree along various metrics, such as the linear footage of sewers that have been replaced, the linear footage of sewers that have been rehabilitated through CIPP, manholes, the number of manholes that have been rehabbed, as well as the number of sanitary sewer house connections that have been rehabbed. Again, the Back River Headworks project, $430 million. We have to date, based on the completion of that project, reduced sanitary sewer overflows by volume by 69%. Once we complete that cleaning of the interceptor, we will achieve additional reductions in SSO. The ribbon cutting for this Headworks project was held on the 10th of May. As you can see in this picture, various dignitaries were invited, including our new director at the time. I think he was probably just a few weeks into his tenure here at DPW. So this was a very momentous occasion that we are very proud of that happened over the past 12 months. Illegal sewer connections is paragraph 10. This is over the past 12 months, we have not identified any illegal connections, so no enforcement actions were needed by the city. Paragraph 11 is in reference to pumping stations, our sanitary sewer pumping stations. No overflows and no near misses were identified during these past 12 months. Paragraph 12 is in reference to the collection and this transmission system model, our hydraulic model that I mentioned. This model simulates how the condition of the system now, the flow of the system as it is now, our baseline, as well as projects and simulates for future build out. Over the past 12 months, we updated and calibrated various portions of the model. We also extended the sewer model, which by mandate is for pipes 10 inches and larger. We identified areas in the system that have recurring issues and went ahead and extended the model to include and simulate these areas, even though they are less than 10 inches, the mandated 10 inches. This image here shows you the extent of that hydraulic model. In red, you'll see all the main interceptors and pipes that eventually convey flow to the Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant. In blue, same network of pipes that convey flow to the Patapsco Wastewater Treatment Plant. Lower right, you will see an excerpt from an output of the model that shows you the potential as a flow in the pipe is simulated. It shows the potential for overflows from the system. So that middle portion where the line, the surface elevation is above the ground level, which is in brown, indicates where we are likely to see overflows. Excuse me. Paragraph 13 refers to the collection system long-term operation and maintenance, or O&M. Over the past 12 months, we submitted 2 key deliverables that we are required to submit. One is the progress report, the other is the annual update of the O&M plan. Both have been submitted and also uploaded to our website. Also, during these past 12 months, we have a targeted cleaning program for our sanitary collection system, and that involves the inspection and the cleaning of the collection system at various locations, and 46 miles were cleaned. We have a fats, oils, and grease program, or FOG for short, that's very critical to the O&M of our system. 6 miles were treated. And because various lines are susceptible to root intrusion, we also have a root control program. 87 miles of pipe were treated for root intrusion. And finally, we have a robust program that inspects food service establishments to make sure that they have done the appropriate level of pre-treatment before discharge. Paragraph 14, the information management system. We have a GIS database that is expansive and inventories all the collection system assets. Over the past 12 months, we've expanded the use of the GIS database along with our computerized maintenance management system called CityWorks that allows us to manage our work orders for regular O&M. Paragraph 15 is in reference to the sanitary discharges of unknown origin, or SDUOs. This is a program that identifies discharges of sewage into the stormwater system, and it tracks the source of those SDUOs. And over the past 12 months, 16 SDUOs were identified or discovered. We have abated about 4 of them. There are a few outstanding, and there are also 5 that we are abating from previous years' discoveries. Paragraph 16, the revised emergency response plan. This ERP is a critical part of our first responders actions whenever there is an emergency with our sanitary sewer system. This ERP was submitted in 2018. To date, we have received partial approval from MDE and EPA. Who are evaluating various components of it, and we hope to have full approval of the ERP in short order. The reporting of overflows and record keeping, paragraph 17, is the lifeblood of our data management. We track the occurrence of SSOs, we track the progress of project execution. And one thing that I would like to note, if you look at this chart, we have seen, again, I mentioned 67 and 72 as the SSO structures that are very critical for the entire system. The overflow by volume over the past 6 to 7 years shows that 67 and 72 represent 72% of all the wet weather SSOs in the system. So once these two SSO structures are sealed and eliminated, we will see a dramatic reduction in overall SSOs in the city. So that is something that we're looking forward to very much. Paragraph 19 is for stream quality monitoring. The city has a very expansive program for sampling and analysis throughout our waterways, both tidal and non-tidal. We sample and screen for ammonia that facilitates us identifying the sources of potential pollutants into our streams. There's stream impact sampling that we conduct to assess for bacteria levels, metals, and other pollutants in the waterways. And the image on the right, it might be hard to see, but you can see that the various locations where we have these sampling being conducted. So the sampling and analysis requires a network of resources, including human resources, 12 scientists, again, quite a few stations that are routinely sampled. So there are permanent stations. Over the past 12 months, 577 samples were tested for bacteria. And as you can see, there are various data on the progress made over the last 12 months regarding water quality monitoring. So we mentioned non-tidal and tidal. This graph shows in red, the horizontal red line is the standard, the state standard for non-tidal waters. The dots represent the sample results for these three particular non-tidal waters: Back River, Jones Falls, and Gwynns Falls. The takeaway from this image is that we do exceed the water quality standard. But again, the execution of the MCD, all the sanitary sewer projects will have a positive effect in reducing the E. coli, the level of E. coli in non-tidal waters, and getting us below the water quality standard. And the same thing for Enterococcus in our tidal waters. Paragraph 20 refers to the review, the submittal and approval of deliverables, as well as the communication of these deliverables to you, the public. So as you can see on the right top side, there is an image of a notification prompt. We are always engaging with the public to solicit feedback, but also to provide and push communication out. For instance, we have an interactive sanitary sewer overflow map. If you do enter your email address here and subscribe, you'll get notified whenever there is an SSO, as well as you will have access to the SSO map to show where these particular SSOs are. Lower right is the repository of all the deliverables to the regulators. On the lower left, excerpts of the various pamphlets that have been developed. One of the exciting new programs that we have is the SOS program, or the Sewage On-Site Support Program, that provides direct assistance to residents that experience sewage backups. So everything I've covered so far is mandated through the MCD. The Small Business Development Program is a program that's part of our overall MCD, but is not mandated. And this is a very exciting program that is the brainchild of DPW. We provide over a course of 10 to 11 weeks every year in the fall, a training program for small businesses, particularly minority and women-owned businesses and entrepreneurs. So they can become contract ready to do work with the city of Baltimore, offer various classes on contracting, project management, and the like. And as you can see here, over the span of the running of the SBD program, we've graduated over 300 firms to work with the city. So finally, in reviewing the accomplishments of the MCD, the main message that we do want to communicate is we are, as the city, doing more to prevent SSOs. And in doing that, we're evaluating on a regular, constant basis the performance of our work. And this involves doing the work smart, being proactive. Like I mentioned, if we have opportunities, we elect to do projects early, and we invest in small local businesses, similar to Director Mitchell mentioned, to ensure that there's equity. Finally, in 2021, the city invested over $94 million on phase 1 projects. And these 3 images at the bottom shows you examples of the completed work. And with that, I will hand it back to Odessa. Thank you.